All right, we're going to be doing an oil change on a 2015 Nissan Rogue. It doesn't really take a whole lot of equipment or tools. I've got it all laid out here, everything we need. We went to the auto parts earlier and got 5 quarts of Mobil 1 5W30. That's a full synthetic oil. It's a good oil and it happened to be a good deal at the auto parts today, so we went ahead and got that. The 5W30 is the spec for the car, and 5 quarts is the capacity. We also picked up a Bosch ST3300 oil filter, which is the right one for that car. There's other options, but that's a fine one. Then of course we're going to need something to drain the oil into, a bucket here. I'm going to have to use a funnel. I might have to use a different one when I get to that point, but anyway, a funnel of some sort. Some paper towels, shop towels, in case you make any kind of spills, and clean up little bits here and there. And then to get the filter off, we'll need either one of these, which I like to use if you have one. You can pick that up at the store. They have different sizes of these, make sure it fits the filter that you have or get. Instead of that, you can use one of these. I believe this is the smaller size of them. You can see it's close to the same. As it closes around that, it can grab that filter. I'm probably going to use this one because the clearance in there allows me to do that. And then the oil drain bolt is a 14 millimeter. A little bit hard to reach, but we'll be able to get to it. A lot of people, of course, will recommend you jack the vehicle up. I checked already and found that although I'm pretty big, I can get under there well enough to reach the things that I need. I have the equipment to do it, but I feel like it's really not going to help me a whole lot. If you decide to do that, don't do it unless you have the right equipment and good stuff, good jack and good jack stands, because you actually can create a safety hazard for yourself. So be careful with that. But these are all the things you're going to need. Let's go ahead and get started with the oil change. All right, so I'm going to do things probably a little bit out of sequence for most people. A lot of you may know how to change the oil, but you don't know how to set up that warning light or warning indicator that tells you, when it's time to change the oil. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that. We need to get the ignition on, which I'll just hit the start button without hitting the brake so that the vehicle doesn't start up. So that turns the ignition on. I'm going to enter the menu here with this button. I'll go to the maintenance setting down here. So scroll down to that. Hit enter. Hit enter for oil and filter. Enter for oil and filter. There we go. So this one's just recently been reset, which is why it says 0 out of 4,000, but you can actually change where you want that to come on. If you want it to be 5,000, 3,000, whatever, it kind of depends on what oil you use, but I'll just hit the enter on that number, and I can toggle up or down to set it up however I want. Some people like to be reminded a little earlier, which is the case here. Well, I'm setting it 4,000, so I'll just hit 4,000 there. Once you have driven some, it'll show you how many miles out of that 4,000 you've used, and you can reset that obviously by going down to the reset and just hit enter. There's already a 0, so it's not going to do anything here. But so that's how to set that up. So let's go ahead and get started with it. What I did just for a few seconds here is something my dad taught me always to do. Probably just an old dad's tale. I don't know if it really does any good, but especially if the vehicle's not warm when you're doing the oil change, go ahead and start it up, let it run for at least 30 seconds. That'll kind of pick up any sediment that might be, settling down in the low spaces of the engine. So it gets blended in with the oil so that when you drain it out, you get as much junk out as you possibly can. So I already did that. I'm just going to point out a few things here on the engine. First of all, our oil fill is right here. Pretty easy to get to. You don't have to remove any access covers or anything. And then the key thing, when you get under the car, it's a little bit hard to see where the oil drain plug is. Everything you're going to be working on is on the passenger side of the vehicle. So the filter is actually down on, you can't see it at all, but it's down on this side, and the oil drain plug is back here. Don't get confused with your CVT pan drain plug, which is on the driver's side of the vehicle. Be sure you get the right one. So I'm going to climb under the vehicle and try to point those out, but it might be a little bit difficult. Okay, so it's probably a little difficult to tell the orientation now. This is the passenger side front tire. I'm laying up under the front of the vehicle. This is your oil pan here, and the drain plug is right there. That's a 14 millimeter bolt right here. So I'm going to get to that and drain the oil here in just a moment. And then as soon as that's drained, I'm going to come over here, and there's a plastic cover that is behind this, right in front of this shaft. You could take that off. I found out you can just kind of tuck it back behind the brake caliper or something, and grab the oil filter, which is right here. And so I'll come over and take that off, drain that out as well. So I'm not sure how much of this we'll be able to shoot with the drain pan under here is going to block the view, but we'll try. We'll get right on that. All right, I'm getting ready to get dirty here, so I put my gloves on. Should have had them on earlier, but I didn't. I forgot. So a little, like I said, there's not a lot of clearance. I'm going to have to get this bolt started, drain bolt, and then pull the pan back under it, because I can't get enough clearance with the pan in the way to get my ratchet in there. Remember, be sure you check the ratchet is set up correctly. When you're in an awkward angle like this, it's easy to forget which way is loose and which way is tight. So I'm going to go ahead and get that started. And now I can do that with my fingers. Line this up. Don't put it right in the center, because that oil is going to shoot backwards. I know it is. So I want to have the front edge of my bucket or drain pan right at the front there, so I don't miss anything. And it shoots out the back. And there it goes. So we're going to let that drain down for several minutes to get as much out as possible, and then I'll move my drain pan over to be underneath the filter, so I can take it off and catch any oil that comes out of it as I take it off. So we'll be back with that in just a moment.
Ooh, buddy, I'm getting these angles. Tell you what.
All right, this slowed down to a drip, so I'm going to go ahead and plug it back up with the drain plug, and then we'll get the filter out. This is a part here you need to be really careful with. People can mess up. I've seen them mess it up. Don't get this thing cross-threaded. If you're not real familiar with putting bolts in places and know how it feels when it's right, just be super careful, because if it's not going in real easy and turning real easy, it's really going easy now. If it's not like that, it's cross-threaded, and that's not good. It's going to really mess it up, cause a big problem. Let me go ahead and wipe this off a little bit before I tighten it up. Now I'm going to move the drain out of the way, set my ratchet up correctly, like I said before, don't get confused. I don't know the torque spec on this, but if you're using a short ratchet, unless you really go hard on it, you can't over tighten it. So get it good and snug, but don't go crazy on it. Don't want to leave it too loose either, but I'm sure you can find the torque specs if you want to put a torque wrench on it. Okay, so I'm going to clean that up real good, so that when I come back later, if I see anything dripping there, I'll know that it's new oil and not something from the old. Okay, so I've moved over to where the filter is. There's this cover from the front, and weird the way the thing is put in. It's not very firm, but secured. I don't see a way to do it. Anyway, you could take it all the way out. I'm just going to fold it back enough to give me some room. I'm going to put the wrench for the filter onto my ratchet. Push that back a little bit. On that, easy to get it started. Make sure that my pan is lined up as best as I can. Go ahead and get that filter out. There we go. Drop that in and just fish it out. Alright, we'll let that sit there for a few seconds and drain out as well. Okay, so I'm gonna prepare my filter. Again, it's the Bosch ST3300. There's plenty of others you can get. Let's take it out, take a look. It has this rubber gasket around it, and it's always a good idea to get some oil, just put it on your finger, just make that a little bit wet so that you don't have any dry spots. It'll help it to seal up better. So I'll just stick my finger, gloved finger, down in that fresh oil, put it on that gasket so it's just so it'll seep real well. I'm going to go back under the car now and install it. The filter has stopped draining out, so I'm going to go ahead and push this drain can out of the way. Give me a little room, and make sure I get this on this is the new one. I'm going to put it on, make sure I get it on the right spot. You don't want to be fishing around and get that gasket all dirty, because it'll then have trouble seating up. Again, if it's not going on real easy once you find the right spot, you may have it cross-threaded, and you definitely don't want that. That's going to be a problem to fix. So I'm going to tighten that up as much as I can with my hand, and then I'll put my ratchet on it. You don't want to get these too tight. The threads aren't real strong. I don't know how to describe exactly how to get it, but you can definitely go too tight on these. It's pretty easy to do. I think that's about right. Right there. I'm going to check it real close for leaks after we start this thing up. But I like the way that feels. All right. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and fill up with the oil. I know the spec is right at 5 quarts, maybe just a little bit less. So I'm going to put almost the whole 5 quarts in, and then run the engine, and then check the level. If you check the level before you run the engine, you're going to get a false reading, because it needs to pump things around and get it into some of the oil galleys and everything that'll hold some oil. So your fill cap is right here. It's pretty. You can see the little icon of the oil, whatever the thing is, bucket. And I'll use my favorite funnel if it fits, and it does. It's maybe less than half a quart that I haven't put in. So knowing that the specification is just under 5 quarts, I'm going to go ahead and start it and see where the level is, and if I need to top it off, I'll do that. I always recommend that before you start, you go ahead and put the cap back on. Now, some vehicles will actually splash oil out through that cap if you don't put it on. All right, I ran the engine for about 30 seconds, maybe a minute, just to get everything circulated around, and now let it sit for about 30 seconds to make sure everything is settled down. I'm going to check the level. The dipstick is right here in the front with the yellow handle. Pull that out, and you can see the level is right between these 2 dots. There's a dot down here and a dot up here. This one's high, so I'm in a good place. I could add a little bit more to get it all the way up to the dot, so I think I'll probably do that, but you don't want to go beyond it. And that's one danger with changing your oil, is if you don't put enough in, your vehicle, most vehicles will tell you that it's low on oil, but most of them will not tell you that it's high. And being very high on oil can cause some significant engine damage. So you don't want to do that. Be really careful. Make sure it is not beyond the high. If it is, you're going to have to drain some out. But it looks like we're good. I'll probably top it off with the rest of what was in that bottle. That'll probably put it right up to the high mark, and we'll be good to go with that. Okay, so I put the rest of that bottle in, check it again, and it's right at the high mark. The car is actually sitting on a little bit of an incline, so this would be the low side. Have the oil run over to this side a little bit. So I'm not concerned about it being just a tad above that. I think we're exactly right, not on the high side, but not overfilled. So it's good. I'm gonna put the oil cap back on, start it up again, get underneath just to make sure that there's no leaks. Anything I worked on, be surprised if it was. Looks like we didn't have any problems. So pretty straightforward maintenance job, and easy to do yourself if you want to try it. I think you have everything here that you need to do it. Good luck. All right, so our used oil is here. Some people say, what do I do with all the used oil? What I do is put it back into the containers that I just bought it in. And most every auto parts, and in some states I believe it's required that they take back the used oil. They actually like to take it back because they get paid for it. They can sell that oil. So check with them when you buy your oil, whether you can bring back the used oil. I'd be surprised if they say no. If not, probably even oil change places will take it because, like I said, they do get paid for it. So I'm just going to take this out of the catch basin, put it back into the bottle that we bought the oil in, take it back to auto parts, and be done with it.